Hi, and welcome to the director's commentary of the Hyper Review. This is originally made for our patrons to thank them for getting behind the channel. So if you'd like to help us make awesome content, consider joining us on Patreon. So this is a instrument review made in the middle of winter, and the review of a technical flight instrument is probably the hardest one to do because there's so many features on an instrument like this. You have to research it, and as soon as you've tested it you find there's a software update and things have changed and you need to review. So we don't do that many flight instrument reviews just because they're very time consuming. They're very difficult to be absolutely correct with them. And obviously the flying was really poor this time of year, so I was left with this instrument. I'd actually flown it quite a few times in the summer, but we were waiting for some updates, and then by the time I was ready to review it, it's the middle of winter. So yeah, this is what I thought we could have a bit of fun with. I've got a helmet camera on top of my helmet. It's a very good stable position to film things that you're looking at, and there's another camera just out of shot, stuck to the side of the glass in the car. Now, I've had a couple of criticisms from people about, vlogging while you're driving. I mean, come on, guys. This is about as distracting as if you're looking at your instruments for your car, your speed, and your manipulating your indicators or turning your lights on. I'm on a quiet little English road here, and there's no concern. But this is quite fun, driving through the Gatwick airspace limit and getting it to alarm. This looks pretty spontaneous, but I'd actually scripted this beforehand, so I'd written out what I wanted to say. And it's funny, if you're sitting at a desk and you're writing a script for something, it seems very simple, but when you're actually trying to perform in front of a camera while you're doing some actions that you're trying to remember what you're doing, you kind of use up a few strands of your brain power, and you're left with a little bit that you've got to remember the script with. And I find it quite taxing. I think I really appreciate what actors do in films, because I had to reshoot this a couple of times because I kept on forgetting my lines, which is a bit silly because I wrote in the first place. But it's quite hard doing that spontaneous acting when you're actually following a script. Most of the stuff that I do for the Flybubble channel is spontaneous, so that's very easy. I'm just chatting to you and chatting to the camera. But when I'm trying to do something that I've got a few gags and a few jokes in here, which that's very hard to do just on the fly. So I'd prepared all of this, and then I couldn't remember what on earth I was supposed to be saying. The police siren, of course, is added in afterwards. It's the wonder of having a sound effects library at your fingertips. And I put a lot of those little sounds in when I've got the time to just add a little bit more to our creative films. This was a little lay-by that I found where I could be reasonably secluded and not interrupted. I didn't want somebody coming and knocking on the window, kind of poking their head in while I was filming. Now the GoPros aren't good in the dark, so I had a torchlight here, which I'm kind of holding between my feet, pointed back at my face just to try and get enough light on me. Subsequently, I've actually bought a little portable light set to be able to do this sort of stuff. And then I videoed the Hyper afterwards in my office to get this close-in shot. This is something from a previous review video which I picked up in the comments that people were battling to see what the details were on the Vario, so I did a close-up and overlaid it. Now, often when we're flying, reviewing an instrument, we have to have other instruments going at the same time. So my basic is the SysNav, which I've flown with for years, and I use that to compare the response time.
Down the bottom you've got a button to navigate through. You've got to press it 1, 2, and then you get to a map.
At the moment I am sitting in the back of my car with the glider over my head, and it's a bit of a strange environment to be filming in, but I'm used to going into strange places with my filming. You can see there's quite a lot of clutter on my cockpit when I'm filming as well. I had a microphone there to try and record in-air narration, and often the film making interferes with the free flying.
And it shows you the boxes around it. I don't know how they get all that airspace, I mean the whole world, into this little box.
It's me trying to be funny. Okay, I'm not a natural comedian, but I'm doing my best here. Just trying to lighten it up a bit because it is, after all, an instrument review, and I know most people aren't going to be that interested in all the technical details of the instrument. This was a classic day that I'm filming here. I was doing the tenor review with Carlo, and we did a big out and return from Devil's Dyke. Fantastic flying conditions. This was summer of 2018, so it was super dry. We were getting really good climbs, higher cloud base than usual, and it made for some stunning cross-country flying. And sometimes it's difficult to remember what on earth I'm supposed to be filming while I'm also doing cross-country. I'm often just off on an adventure and I forget the script, you know. But I got quite a lot of footage, and it just kind of sat there because I hadn't finished the review. So part of the challenge of making these videos for Flybubble is remembering all of the footage that I've got on my archives. I try and keep a tidy filing system, so I date everything that I video, and I put a description there, and usually I film a short clip on the day that describes all the things that I filmed on that day. So when I come back to it 3 months later, I can actually quickly learn what it was I was filming and what I was trying to do. That's probably the hardest part of this job, is when you've got a broken up shoot. You've filmed a little bit, but it's not enough to complete the review, and then you've got to come back on another day, and then the conditions are different and you don't remember exactly what you did in the first time. So quite often I've got a few passes to create a full review, and that's much more challenging than being able to do it all in one go. Not sure how Navita was going to take this whole, because I am really jacking around with the instrument, and it's not at all serious. I do throw in some criticisms here. I feel it's important that pilots know the facts and can make a balanced decision on what they're looking at. But Andre at Navita absolutely loved the video. They're a real bunch of cool guys over at Navita, and it's great to have them giving us support when we have technical issues and developing these products. They're all pilots themselves, and we get on fabulously with them. So thanks to Andre and Navita. We appreciate your sense of humor. So I'm going a little stir crazy in the back of the car here. Really should be out flying, but the UK winter can sometimes be a bit of a drag. And of course, coming from South Africa, all my friends from South Africa are posting photos of flying epic cross-country lines in the middle of UK winter. Shouldn't be allowed. That's 50 kilometers out on the cross-country, and it's a stunning area to fly. Really low risk and just slow, patient, technical flying, going from one thermal to the next. I did video parts of that flight with the idea of making an instructional video, but it's very difficult to actually produce anything when you're just filming bits and pieces. It's more important to script something like that beforehand so that you know what the point is of your lesson, and then I can video the stages in that flight that make up the lesson. So I've got a lot of this sort of footage where I've just videoed stuff as I'm flying around, and then it just sits on a hard drive because it's pretty pointless. Luckily in this case the video is the subject, so I can use lots of this turning around, and there's actually some point to it. So this was quite fun because this is of course my voice speaking as a South African, and I had to kind of imagine that this voice was saying things outside the car, and then go outside the car and record the voice for the second character, and then I spliced the two pieces together. So this is Hamilton acting at its best. Not gonna get any Oscars. Okay, now you're probably never going to see me doing an instrument review in the back of a car under a glider again. It's important to experiment and try odd things when you're making films. It helps the creativity flow, it helps you find new ideas and push the channel in different directions. So this is just me messing around, having a bit of fun with the format and filming. Hope you enjoyed me taking a slightly different angle on the standard old try instrument review, and I'll endeavour to keep on inventing new and odd situations to entertain you. It's all part of the service, and it's all part of the fun really of having a YouTube channel and being able to play with filming. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening. Keep in touch. Thanks for your support.